What's the deal, YouTube? It's your girl, Miss Honey, giving you guys Dancing with the Stars tease. Yes. Okay, you guys, welcome to my channel. This is Greenleaf, and I'm going to go into this review with a light heart and a cheerful spirit. This was a good episode. It was This episode was all about Jacob. Jacob just coming into his own voice, and after the way he laid waste to Bishop's eyebrows and Lady May's edges and snatched all the nose hairs out of Aaron's ooh, nose and took all that upper lip hair off of Grace's mouth, baby. Mm, mm, mm. I see Jacob in a whole new light. I feel like Jacob is going to um, come out of this thing a conqueror. I got my fingers crossed for Jacob. Okay. All right, let's get into this episode. This is Greenleaf. This, of course, is season 2, and this is episode 5, Point of No Return. First of all, Sophia. Sophia is newly baptized. She loves the Lord, and she is extra, extra saved, okay? Now, you find a lot of people who are new to baptism, and that at that they sort of operate off this high, this baptismal high, okay, for quite a while after they've been baptized. And so we see that Sophia is, and listen, shout out to James Caldwell. I watched his review last week, and he um had this notion, prediction that Sophia is actually going to be the saving grace, so to speak, of this whole family. She's going to be the really truly God sent one to bring the family back together. So when he was telling us about it, I was like, yeah, that sounds like that might work. Yeah, that's completely plausible. And we see here she is just walking into this whole faith walk. Like, Sophia's not, her feet aren't even really touching the ground. Like, she's walking like this far off the ground. Like, she's that saved now. Okay, she floats with the angels. Yeah. We see Grace coming in from a long night of conversation with Darius, and Sophia sort of catches her. It's 5 in the morning, but Sophia's up with early morning prayer. You know what I'm saying? She does her prayer at dawn. And she catches, Grace coming in, and although she doesn't do it at that time, later on when her and Grace are talking, she calls Grace to task on it and says, so you guys are friends? And she's like, yeah, friends with benefits. And Grace is like, what? No, don't talk like that. And she's like, I'm just asking. And she's like, no, it's not like that. We were up talking, and Sophia's the mom right now, and she's saved. So she's like, what were y'all talking about? And Grace was like, we were talking about the whole Max situation. It's a dilemma. We're trying to figure that out. And Sophia's like, well, why don't we just pray for Mac and pray and that he will change his heart? And Grace is just like, I don't know that that's going to work, honey, because he still has to pay for what he has done. And every time I see young girls like you, it just makes me that much more sure that I've got to see this through to the end and get this man off the streets. And Sophia's like, oh, okay. Later on, we see Sophia. She is in baptism camp. Later on, we see that she wants to pray for this couple that Grace was going to marry, but they changed their minds. And Grace tells her, no, we don't need to pray for them. I don't think it's going to help. And Sophia's like, well, maybe we should pray for you, Mom. Because any pastor that don't believe in the power of prayer no more has a serious, serious problem. And what can Grace do? She concedes. And Sophia gives her a wonderful, wonderful prayer. And we see a little bit of levity at that moment with Grace. Like, she needed that prayer. Okay. We find out that Grace is trying to get Mac charged with coming in proximity, I think, to Vita when she saw him the other day. And except Vita doesn't want to talk to the police about it. She doesn't want to get involved, so there's nothing Grace can do. Grace is supposed to be marrying this couple. This couple is obviously in love, but the wife is pretty high strung. And so it at, at the end of the day, through the rehearsal and everything that's going on, this woman is finding one reason after another not to marry this man. And come to find out, she doesn't want to get married to this man because Grace is the one that's marrying them. I know. It is the dumbest thing I have ever heard. It's not about your man. It's not about what's going on in y'all relationship, y'all love. It's about who's marrying this is you. Your problem. And she's so rude and she is so nasty to Grace. And she tells Grace, how, when I found out Bishop wasn't going to marry us and it was going to be you, I was so disappointed. And frankly, it's because you left Christ. And I don't know any decent Christian that can recover from that. Oh, okay, so God is handing out forgiveness, but you can't do it. Okay. All right, ma'am. Toodles. Grace did real good. Now, she was stunned. Her feelings were hurt. But me, it wouldn't have been so nice. I'm not proud of that, but it wouldn't have been so nice. Okay? Let's move on. We also see Grace take this moment, even though she got her own fish to fry and she is floundering not only in her faith but her position there at church. She takes a moment to try to chastise Jacob as being childish. And when I tell you that Jacob gathered all of her mustache hairs together, that's what he did. But we gonna talk about that. Charity is trying to get Kevin to keep the baby because Jabari is headed back to Nashville today. He's leaving and she wants to look over the artwork. Well, he's got a hectic schedule, but because of everything that's going on and he wants to spend time with his child, he decides to keep the baby during the morning. Charity gonna keep the baby at night. Meanwhile, he wants to know, when are we gonna talk a little bit more about these whole divorce situation? What are we gonna handle it? We need to have, and she's like, we'll talk about it tonight, I promise, when I get home. Oh, okay. All right, Charity. Then we see Charity with Jabari. And Jabari's supposed to be going on by his business. Okay, but instead he offering her a job as a writer. He want her to come to Nashville 2 or 3 times a month. All right, Charity. Okay, Charity. All right. Okay. We're going to see. And Charity, it's like, I don't know. He's like, oh, you one of the best writers to ever do it. And you can make upwards to $1 million. And she's like, you think so? And he's like, yeah. So, well, I guess I'll go. And they hug. And when he hugs, they give a little hug. And he tucks his head in her neck on one side. And then she hugs him and releases. But instead of her releasing and stepping back like any normal individual would do on their job, or on their job at the church, or on their job at the church and still legitimately married, what do? You gonna still hold him in the embrace and talk directly into his face. Like, if he were to have done that, it would have went straight up her nose, like boom, like right there. So inappropriate. And you don't know, you changed my life. You don't know how you have changed my life. And he is just like, oh, it has been my pleasure to change your life. And then he tucks his head on the other side of her neck. His head in her neck. Not no pat. Lady Mae walks in and sees it all. And she is just like, oh, Charity, what is happening right here? And Charity is like, it's not what you think, Mama. Is that a new jacket? And she's like, I have had this jacket since before your daddy was born. And Charity is like, okay, Mom. She's like, what is happening? I am just showing him that I am grateful. Grateful? Ah, yes, Mama. Grateful. She's like, what's going on? Charity say, I might as well tell you, since you already all up in this thing. Let me just go ahead and tell you that Kevin and I are breaking up. And she's like, what are you talking about? Get it together. Marriages, you can bend that thing 5 ways to Sunday and it won't break. But once you break it up, you will really, really know loss. Why don't you come and counsel with me and your daddy? And we're going to see if we can get y'all straight. And she's just like, Mama, I don't think, no, you need to come. And Charity's like, okay, Mama, if that's what you want me to do, that's what I'll do. I mean, after all, I don't have my own voice in my own life. It's because I live in your house, okay, and live off y'all salary and work on y'all job. I have no voice of my own. So, yeah, Mama, even though y'all ain't got much of a marriage in terms of honesty, I'm gonna go ahead and counsel. Meaning my husband, who is gay, is gonna counsel with you and my daddy. Okay, you guys. So we see after that, we see that Lady Mae uh tells not only Bishop that Charity and Kevin are trying to get a divorce, and then tells Bishop that they need to stay on top of this and make sure they protect it, even if it means taking Kevin out. But she also tells Aaron that Charity and Kevin are trying to get a divorce, and she wants to know if anything he can do to help the situation. Which he then immediately goes to Kevin and tells Kevin, "Do you? I heard about the divorce. Do you have a lawyer yet?" And Kevin was like, "I don't. We no." And he's like, "Well, here, take my card. When you get a lawyer, have that lawyer call me." Why? Why would he do that? Why would he do that? Like, he need to be. What are you talking about? You don't want to give me no more information. You just gonna give me these instructions and send me on my way. And then he tells Kevin, "Oh, by the way, I'm sorry to hear this." I'm like, I got my good eye on you, Aaron. I got my good eye on you. Okay, all right. Okay. Then we see Kevin with his baby, contemplating his life. I know it's a mess. Let's talk. Opens with Lady Mae showing Jacob around. Aaron around Jacob's old room. This is the patio, and you can have your coffee outside and have your breakfast, and it's just a lovely little night. And he's like, "I'm gonna have my breakfast out here every morning." She's like, now she is borderline affectionate. Like, she seems like she's using all of her feminine wiles and forehead power to sort of woo this guy. Like, it's weird, but it's really this type of manipulation. She's trying to use this type of manipulation to really to get him into her good graces, so to speak. And he's nothing but cordial and sweet and nice. And then she, like I said, she's using all of her charms. We see Bishop, and Bishop is sitting in his office when Jacob and Skanks come in. Okay, and they are livid, they are upset, and he walks out, has a few words with them, and walks out from around them and goes and talks to Aaron about it. And he wants to know, "Aaron, this is the situation. What can I do?" And Aaron tells him, "Hey, listen, I tell you what, don't do anything. Just stall him out. Just stall him out. We just gonna continue to stall him out and ignore him and pay him dust." And Bishop likes that idea. He's like, "Okay, good." So when he goes back into his office and Skanks and Jacobs are still in the office, he's letting them know, "Hey, I don't have time to talk. Y'all want to do this? That's fine. But I'm going home after 4 o'clock." Well, Lady Mae comes in, and she already know why they there. So she shuts Jacob down when he's just trying to be cordial to her. But she also makes a comment about the plumber, right? All right. Okay. Then she takes Bishop outside, and she talks to Bishop not only about what is going on here, what is the plan, what are we doing, why are they in your office, you need to fix this. I don't want Fred Williams, whom I'm not sure who that is yet. I don't want Fred Williams to get wind of this. Also, did you know that Charity trying to divorce Kevin? What are we gonna do? We need to protect ourselves. That's what we need to do. Okay? And he's like, "From Kevin?" And she's like, "Yeah, from Kevin. These things, you know how these things get out of hand? I think it might be that Jabari character, but you know what? Just in case, we can take Kevin out of the knees too and let him know he's not getting that one red cent, nor our grandchild." They already building a case up against Kevin, and they don't even know what's going on. If Charity let that happen. Anyway, then we see that Lady Mae goes immediately to Aaron and talks to Aaron about what's going on with Charity, and would you please handle this. Then we see Bishop and Lady Mae have decided they're gonna meet with Aaron and Jacob and Skanks. Okay, we gonna get to that. We also see that the deacon board meeting is happening, and Bishop is feeling good. He feels like he's got the perfect answer to stall out um um Triumph and their situation, what they got going on, the construction across the street. He feel like he got a new counsel. He walking on sunshine. So he is charming, he is snazzy, he is fun, and he is going over the whole list of things that he needs to talk about with the deacon board, and they need to see him that way. So Lady May is very, very proud of that. At the same time, we see Deacon look, Bishop look off, and he is like, yeah, yeah, deep down inside, your guts is boiling. Ooh, okay. Your hairline is burning because Jacob has just snatched all of the hair from right across your hairline, all right? So, but we gonna get to that, all right? So we also see Lady May later on in the evening coming into Aaron's room, and she is bringing him an entire 14 slice grapefruit pound cake as a way to say thank you. Who brings the entire cake? Who brings the entire cake into somebody? Who does that? It was a stupid, stupid scene. But we do get to learn that Aaron knows what happened between his daddy and Lady May. Because after he tastes that delicious slice of cake, he tells Lady May, May, you don't have to worry about me telling about what happened between you and my dad. I mean, what would be the point? And Lady May is like, oh, um, well, thank you. I'm like, ooh, Lady May, girl. She's a nasty girl. She's a nasty girl. Nasty girl. Okay, so let's get into this whole Jacob Karissa skanks thing, you guys. Okay, so Jacob and Karissa are at their house. They're having electrical trouble. Evidently, the house needs to be rewired. When you plug something into the kitchen sockets, they blow the power into the entire house. Now, up until this point, they've had several issues and plumbing, now the electrical outlet, and he wants to call the handyman. We're going to call the handyman Henry. Okay, Henry is the handyman for her family, his mama and his daddy family home, and he's calling the guy like he still live over there, and the guy's coming over there, but what he's doing is he coming over there and doing the work, and then he going over back to Lady May and those and giving them the invoice and telling them what's going on over there at the house. So when Lady May came into the office, let's go back. So he and Karissa are talking, and she's telling him, I'm gonna call Tasha. I'm gonna tell Tasha what's going on, and they're gonna have to get over here and rewire this house. And he's like, don't do that, let me call Henry. She was like, you can't keep calling Henry. You know he taking our business back. In the meantime, the phone rang. The phone on the phone is Skanks, and Skanks want to know if he knows what this is all about. And Jacobs is like, this, by this you mean this. There's an injunction filed to stave off construction for 28 days, and it's been done by Calvary. And he said, and Jacob said, I had no idea that was happening. And so Skanks tell him, well, listen. Jacob said, I'm gonna be down right down there. He said, don't come here, come down to Calvary. That's where we gonna all meet together and talk about this thing. And he's like, Jacob is like, why are we going down to Calvary? Just meet me at Calvary. Hangs up. Karissa the whole time in the background saying, what are we talking about? What is he saying? Would you tell me what's going on? I hate it when people do that. I'm trying to hit a person on the phone and you. Why would you put me through that? Just give me a minute now. Don't make me yell at you and cuss you out. Back up. Use your common sense. I don't like that. I don't like Karissa, and I don't like that. Anyway, so he tells her what's going on, and she says, you know what, I'm gonna call Tasha and get this electric thing situation. You go with Skanks and get this thing situated. So Skanks meets Jacob outside of Calvary. They go into Calvary, and Skanks is leading. He got that pimp walk on lead, and he busy bad and upset and talking to Jacob and dismissing him, and Jacob can't get a word in edgewise, and he walking around there like that's his church, and he cocking him up, Mickey freaking roost. Okay, walks past the secretary, don't even acknowledge it, and busts into Bishop's office, and Bishop is like, what do I owe the pleasure of this visit? And Skanks is like, what's going on, what is this? and throws the letter, injunction letter down, and Jacob picks the letter up and he snatches it out of Jacob's hand and throws it down, and Jacob's trying to get a word in edgewise, but his daddy or Skanks won't give him any respect to talk. So he just deals. Bishop says, I'm on my way to a meeting, which that's when he hightails it down to Aaron's office, all right? So comes back and tells them they're still sitting there. They're still buying their time. They've got a little sit-in going on. And he tells them, I'm leaving at some point during the day. I got a meeting, so if y'all want to sit here all day and look like an idiot, you can. All right, so Jacob and Skank start talking. And Skank's like, what is the Wi-Fi password? I just don't understand. And Jacob is like, why don't we just leave and go? And Skank shows him a picture of his dad on his phone, Daryl James. And Skank says, well, you know, he tells him the whole story about the night or the morning he found out that his dad had passed on. Baseball was all he and his dad had in common. His dad had just signed him up for a team and just gotten him a jersey. That next morning that his mom came in with cocoa. Cocoa always meant was special occasion. The special occasion was the fact that his dad had died in a church fire the night before. And Jacob is like, oh. And he's like, I'm telling you all this, and I believe that God wants to do. And Jacob is like, so God is telling you to do this to my dad? And Skank said, no, God is telling me to lift you up. And it's a moment. It's a moment of BS, I think, from Skanks. But what Skanks meant for BS, God used for, I think, Jacob's good. Okay, because we learned a lot in this next scene. All right, so at this time, we see that when Bishop comes in to tell him he don't have time for this meeting, Lady May came in at the same time, and she made mention of the plumber. I got my invoice for the. How is that plumbing? Now she wanted him to know that she know that he using the handyman and everything that's going on over at their house, and it ain't all hunky dory. So now when they get up and go after this conversation about Daryl James' father, Skanks' father, Daryl James, and they go in to sit down with counsel, Aaron, and Lady May, and Bishop, and Skanks, and Jacob, and they all go to sit down together to talk about what they can do. Really, it's Calvary trying to stall Triumph out. And Skanks sees through it right away. He's just like, this is all horse woggle. Y'all still gonna stall us out for 28 days. And Jacob is like, can I say something, please? And Bishop is like, you don't need to ask my permission. What you need to do is ask his permission, talking about Skanks. Still disrespecting him. His mama says, oh, and by the way, I got the invoice for the plumbing. Once again, you mentioning that you know what's going on over there at their house. Lady May, that's so small of you. That is so small of you, Lady May. And Aaron is just like, and Jacob, he says, after Bishop says you have to get his permission, Jacob says this man's father is dead, and Skank says, oh, don't bring my daddy into this, don't bring me into this. Okay, well, you keep bringing it up. You brought it up as a reason why you was railing against Calvary. You brought it up again as a reason why you feel like God is speaking to you about empowering Jacob against his father. But now that Jacob brings it up, you don't want to talk about it. Skanks, you up to something. You the snake, slick, slimy boy, okra snake. I think you are. I just know it, okay? So anyway, Jacob is like, ta. This man's father is dead. You had a lot to do with that. He tells his father, he said, Bishop, when I found out that you, man of God, gave the order to burn that church down, causing the death of this, and he said, I thought, you know, what I knew about you and who I knew you died that day. Who I thought you were died that day. See, me and Pastor Skanks got that in common. Except his daddy died that night. My daddy died that night too, but I didn't find out until years later. Ooh, Bishop is like, and he gets up and he says, Aaron, I know they brought you into this unbeknownst to you. He said, but I feel bad for you if you try to go any further in destroying what God is trying to do across the street. And Lady Mae is like, mind your tongue. You don't continue to talk against me. And he says, Mama, I love you, but hold your peace. Okay? For years you have pretended to be on my side while having your hands in Daddy's pocket all at the same time. On one hand you on my side, and the other hand you got it in Daddy's pocket. And Bishop is like, you will not talk to your mother in this fashion. And Lady Mae is just like, and he's like, you know what? You have shown me nothing but pity all the while being agitated by Grace. He said, but it's I that pity you, because you can't raise me any longer, any higher. That's what he said. You can't raise me any higher, but I can still grow up. Okay? And he gets them boom, 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 boom. You're all out. Go to sleep. Night, night. Jacob out. Drops the mic. Walks out of the room. I was like, Jacob, you best to do it, boo. On his way out, Skanks is like, man, your shoes have got to be 10 sizes bigger. And you just, he pimping his own way. And just as he is about to gather Skanks up in all the midst of his bull crap, out comes Grace from her office. And what are you doing, Jacob? You trying to build a church across the street from Daddy? That is just so childish. He's like, really? Really? Because you knew what Matt was doing to Faith and you left. You knew how it was going on here and you still left. And then you come easing your way back in here after she has died, has passed away, and want to pull up the martyr role. He was like, how dare you? How dare you? You didn't even give me so much as a nod for staying and hanging in there. Okay? He said, before you tell me about anything about me, before you call me to task about anything, how about you check yourself? And she was like, I was like, oh, Grace, your face has been cracked several times today. Honey, go home. It's a call it a day, darling. Later on, we see Karissa. Now, she done called Tasha over to the house, and Tasha has gotten over there, and she has tried to fix the electricity herself. It's an epic fail. One, because you in a denim cat suit, and two, you in 6-inch heels, and trying to fix electricity with all of that. Girl, bye. And so, of course, Karissa is her normal, ugly, acting, nasty, overly stuck up, stick in the butt self, and she ends up making Pastor Skank's wife cry, Tasha cry. Because it turns out they don't have the money really to hire an electrician to come out and fix the house. And it's because they're stretched as thin as they possibly can with the open of Triumph 2. And Karissa feels bad after she starts crying and makes her tea, and they're sitting down and they're having tea, and Tasha is so busy talking, and she's trying to be friends with Karissa, and she don't even understand what they getting into messing with these Greenleafs, okay? By birth or by marriage. These Greenleafs ain't nothing but trouble, all right? And so she gets to talking and commiserating like they best friends, and lets it slip that Skank's got a lot of side deals going on. And Carissa's like, what kind of side deals? And she's like, oh, no, it's not like that. It's, yeah, you done said too much now. Okay, so later on when Jacob gets home, she tells him that she had to go off on Tasha, and they're going to send somebody out the next day to bid on getting electricity. They having dinner by candlelight meanwhile. And she tells him, Tasha said something interesting, that Bishop Skanks has a lot of side deals going on. And Jacob says, oh, really? Do tell me more. Okay, he's on a make it freaky roll. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I do agree. I think that Sophia is going to be the breakout Christian here. She's going to be truly the one that is God-given, sent to bring that family together. But I think Jacob is ultimately the one to take over for his father. He just has got to get his S together, okay, and be able to lead a tribe to the land of milk and honey. And when he get done with all of this stuff and get done growing up, he's gonna be the man for the job. I have confidence in that. I do. Okay, you guys, that's it for Greenleaf. Remember to subscribe to my channel, okay? And give me 2 of these if you can, all right? And remember also to comment down below. I look at all the comments and I love to engage and talk with you guys. Until next time, honeybees. Aloha!